welcome back to Making It Great. This is the new year, and I have a couple guests here that I'm going to introduce. But before I introduce them, I'm excited about what we're going to be talking about. The topic is the Blue Ribbon School, and our school district is blessed. We had really a true blessing for a school district of our size where we're at, that we were designated a Blue Ribbon. And so there's a lot that goes into that. I got a couple people. I got Brad Berzinski here, who's the principal over at WK. I got the former teacher of the year, grade 3, Emily Cassellius. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Are you nervous?
Not at all.
She said that this is her first go around with all the bright lights and all of that. So we'll see. Brad is old hat at this. But so let's go ahead and get started with this because it was really an exciting piece for us. It's something that you hang on to as a school district, as a school, as a community. And I don't know when the last time we've had a designation. I don't even know if we've ever had one. So this is a very, very big deal for us. So Brad, let's start with you.
Sure.
Kind of give us a sense of the process, because I remember the phone call.
About a year ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
Really, this process does go back to January of 2015 is when this process really started. And I had a phone conversation with Dr. West, and we were just saying, hey, WK Elementary has set a pretty good record here of the last 3-4 years worth as being named a reward school for 4 consecutive years by the Minnesota Department of Education.
Right.
Has a pretty good track record here. What if we throw our name out there as for consideration as a Blue Ribbon school? So the process really starts at the state level. Each state throughout the United States has the opportunity to nominate schools from within their state. And so working through the Department of Education at the state level, the application process began, like I said, about a year ago at this time. The application process was fairly extensive, to say the least.
Yep.
They gather a tremendous amount of student data on the school, really the last 5 years worth of assessment data, demographic data, et cetera. In addition to that, a number of narrative pieces to the application as well. So really, we worked on that application process throughout the spring months. Yep. And then kind of the last piece of the puzzle is, as we finalized our spring assessments from last school year, had to make sure that we're still where we needed to be and meeting those expectations of some of those student assessment pieces. So we were optimistic that we would be
interesting time
qualify, I guess, if you will, as a National Blue Ribbon school. Didn't get the official word until about late August, I guess it was, and then we had to kind of stay quiet with it for about another month.
Yep.
I think it was the last week of September we were able to make it publicly known that we were in fact being recognized as a 2015 National Blue Ribbon School.
What a huge honor. So Emily, Brad obviously was there for a year, and this is based on years and years of excellence. You have been a part of that, and so talk to me a little bit about WK and what made it really kind of a spot that the Commissioner of Education in Minnesota looked at us and said, yeah, there might be real potential to be a Blue Ribbon. What did you see? I know that there were some changes made at WK to move forward. What did you see as a teacher there?
Yeah, well, this is my 9th year at WK, and my first couple of years there, WK was not making adequate yearly progress.
Right.
So the state was looking at us and encouraging us to make some changes.
Right.
And I think there were a lot of really great things happening throughout the building.
Right.
But we needed to come together and align it all and make sure that all the great things we were doing had meaning and purpose, and making sure that kindergarten through 4th grade, with all the support systems in place, we're in line and doing the same things and making sure we're focused on kids' growth and student success.
So significant shift in culture at WK, or did you feel that? Or
Yep, we did. We took teachers from different areas and we really hammered out a plan mandated by the state, but it really allowed us to take a look at things that we weren't looking at together as a team.
Right.
So rather than everyone doing kind of their own great thing, we were able to come together as a staff and a whole team and do great things together.
I guess that's what's exciting to me was, you're right, the state was involved a little bit, but in the end, we had to sit down together and say, okay, well, how are we going to make WK us and work with our kids and our families? So it's a testament to all the hard work, 9 years there, and the rest of the staff that has been there. So it's fantastic. Yeah. How many schools were involved, or who were given a designation?
Yeah, and that was kind of the neat part as we and we'll probably talk about this in a little bit here, but as we were able to go out for the official recognition in Washington, D.C. in November, we were joined by, it was 335 schools from throughout the nation were being recognized. And when I say, that includes K through 12, that includes public, private, charter, you name it. So the fact that, WK Elementary is one of those, and in the state of Minnesota, only 7 schools recognized, and I think only 3 of those as being elementary schools. So, it's something certainly that as a school district, certainly very proud of, and that the Winona community should be very proud of.
So let's talk about the trip, because I do hear rumblings that some people don't appreciate us taking a trip to D.C., but I have to tell you that trip to D.C. was very powerful for me as a superintendent, as principal, as teachers. But what did you gain from the trip itself? I mean, let's talk to you. I mean, you were there with us. What did you see? What did you feel? What did you come away with from the trip?
I think coming away from that trip, it was not about going to receive an award. And we certainly did that, and we celebrated with other schools. But for me, it was 2 days of learning, coming back with ideas of things I can do to continue to make the school better. It was definitely just an opportunity to network with other schools and other educators from across the country, and just see and hear what's really happening and what we can bring back and continue to just see growth and great things happening at our school.
That's fantastic. Brad?
Yeah, I would agree. I just think that you take the schools that were represented in Washington, D.C. on those few days. Every one of those schools is doing wonderful things in their buildings, and if we can have a chance to connect with those schools, we heard from some wonderful speakers. We had some wonderful opportunities to network within sessions there with other principals and teachers and superintendents. Again, that's the piece that really I think was beneficial, and to be able to not only for those 2 or 3 days, but to establish some of those connections, trade some business cards with folks, and say, hey, we're doing this in our school. You're doing that. Let's stay in touch, kind of thing too. And I think so. It's not just about 2 or 3 days. It's about how can we move this thing forward from here.
I tell you what, it really did for me as a super, because I've only been here a year and some change, so I wasn't a part of the shift and the change. But it did confirm to me all the things that we're working on now as a school system. What I saw from to your point, networking with other folks, superintendents, and saying, yeah, we're doing that right now. We're focusing on standards. We're doing all those things that make us a blue ribbon and make you guys a blue ribbon. And so I walked away confirmed, excited. We're on the right track. And, we're not perfect. No one is, but we're on the right track. We care about kids. We got a good focus on kids. So one of the areas I want to talk about, especially with WK, is every time I hear about WK, we could talk about STEM, and we're going to talk about it in the next segment. We're going to talk about SLIP, but one of the things that we talk about with WK is relationship building. We talk about it all the time. What does that mean to you when you talk about I've heard the principal talk about relationships. I heard the teachers talk about it. What does it mean to talk about we have strong relationships with our community, with our kids? What does that mean to you?
Well, I think when you walk into WK, you really feel, and you can see those relationships between the staff and students, but also parents. I think when you're in the building, you see a lot of families and parents. Parents feel welcome. They know they can come to a classroom or contact a teacher or another staff member anytime. The staff between each other, I think we rely on each other for help and support if needed. A lot of collaboration happening throughout the building because of those strong relationships. And that definitely played a role in the success, having those relationships.
Brett?
We focus so much now on, we talk a lot about student data and data-driven decision making, et cetera, which is great. We need to do all those things. But if you don't have those relationships between teacher and student, teacher and parents, as Emily was saying, all of that stuff is just, it's not worth much at all if you don't have that relationship built. And the kids have to understand, the students have to understand, my teacher cares about me. The adults in this building care about me. My classmates care about me. So it's those relationships between students as well. We try to be very intentional about trying to foster those relationships as well.
It's always interesting. I've said this before since I've gotten the job as superintendent. A lot of folks talk about, well, we want to be labeled this or we want to be labeled that. And in the end, what matters to me as superintendent is what WK received, which was a blue ribbon about excellence. It was about working with children. And that should be all that matters to me. It should be all that a teacher walks into the classroom, or an EA or a cook. They walk in and say, we are represented as an excellent system. And you should be able to hang your hat on that, you know, and not worry about, oh, I'll wear the slip school or wear the STEM school. In the end, it's about the kid and how we're going to promote that. So I'm just really fired up about it. I know there's some other things we're going to be doing pretty soon, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So obviously, being a blue ribbon and all, both of you, school. Have we arrived at WK? I mean, that's one of the questions. Have we arrived?
Not just yet.
Not just yet. No. What does that mean?
I think what we've really tried to present this is the start of the next thing. You know, that we yes, this is something we should be very proud of.
Yes.
And it is affirming. It is affirming to say, yeah, we're doing some pretty good things. But now what's next? How can we use this as momentum moving forward too? We should be so proud of our staff, of our students, of our families. And now let's continue to build on that success. So I think that's really the mindset that folks have, is that yes, let's pause for a moment and say, hey, give ourselves a pat on the back, give each other a pat on the back, and then continue to say, all right, what's next? How can we continue to improve?
Well, you feel the same, or
Absolutely.
is that just principal
Yeah.
street? It better not be principal street.
Right. No, absolutely. When we were in DC, we heard a fabulous quote about there's always another student. And 100% of, we don't even know what that looks like, right? Even the student that looks to be succeeding, let's push them further then.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I don't think there is an arrival. There's always a place to go. The journey continues.
Continuous improvement, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you answered it. Both of you answered it that way. That's exciting with the community. Oh, so we got about 2 minutes. Wow, that came up on us too quick here. But we have some big things to celebrate with the Blue Ribbon yet. So just because we went out and had a good time and whatnot. So we have something scheduled here on the 15th, I believe it is.
Yeah, so January 15th, we're going to kind of officially present the National Blue Ribbon flag and plaque to the staff and students of WK. And just so happens that it's also WK's 80th birthday, so we're going to kind of tie those two events together and celebrate with staff and students. The Blue Ribbon and Birthday Bash, we're going to call it.
Is that what it's called?
That's the official name. That's the official name.
Excited to be there, and it is interesting not to be not being there at the birth of it. Like there is a kind of a moment where it was birthed. 9 or whenever it was when the state came in, and to be a part of that, I feel like I'm just on the outside watching this and going, wow, look at that, that's unbelievable. But I want to I'm so happy about the 15th because I do get a moment to speak to everybody, and I do have some things I really want to say that I've been waiting to say, and about this whole Blue Ribbon piece. So I'm very excited. So here we are at the end of our first segment together, and I wanted to ask both you, Brad, and you, Emily, what last things you want to say about this whole Blue Ribbon piece?
Yeah.
Is there something you want to just add here as we close? I want to start with the ladies first.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, definitely. It is really exciting, and it is fun for us to see our hard work kind of be recognized. But I think as a staff, we know that it's just the beginning.
Right.
That now we're on a path, and we can continue moving forward and doing great things for our students.
That's amazing.
Brad? And as a closing thought for me, it's just the contributions of so many folks in that building and outside of that building that support the work that we do there too, from classroom teachers to educational assistants to custodians to building secretaries, etc. All of those folks play such a vital role in the operation of the school and in contributing to the success of those students.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, both of you. We're going to end this first segment, and we'll be back in a moment to making a grade. Thank you so very, very much.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome.
Want the latest news on St. Mary's University athletics? Watch the Cardinals Nest on HBC TV 25. Dean Beckman and SMU Sports Information Director Donnie Netto will talk about the past week in Cardinal athletics, highlighting the best in each Cardinal sports team. Player and coach guests will add their stories and insight each week with new shows Thursdays at 5 p.m. and replays Fridays at 6:30 p.m. and Saturdays at 7:30 a.m. on HBC TV 25.
Look at the brows on that.
That's a hog, man.
We chose HBC because they're a local company. They have a big audience in Winona, which is the geographic group that we're looking for. Mel is very easy to work with. She's genuinely concerned about how our money is being spent, and she does everything she can to make sure we get the most for our money. She takes care of us. So whenever there's a problem, which is rarely, I know that I can go to her and she's going to take care of it.
To see how HBC advertising can help your company, call Melanie at 507-474-5802.
Get an inside look at the Winona State basketball program with Warriors Fast Break on TV 25, brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill. Host Justin Barrientos sits down with the Warriors head coaches each week to break down last week's game and to look ahead at WSU's next opponent, as well as chat with Winona State players. Tune in at 4:30 p.m. on Thursdays, 6 p.m. on Fridays, 7 a.m. on Saturdays, and before every Warrior home game for Warriors Fast Break on HBC, brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill.
Hello, this is Stephen West. Welcome back to Making the Grade. This is our new year. This is the second segment, and I got three very important people with me here. How are everybody doing? I haven't introduced you yet, but well, everybody know you, Brad.
Yeah,
so Brad is back for his second part here. But over here to my left, I have Arthur Williams. He's my principal, elementary principal at the STEM school, Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. Marianne Texley, how are you?
I'm great, thank you.
You know what she said before we started, everybody? She talked about she's the eye candy here, so she is. So Marianne Texley, you're my principal over at Goodview and at Madison, as well as the SLIP program, our Spanish language immersion program. And Brad Berzinski, again, is our principal at WK and at Rollingstone Community School. I got it right?
You did.
Got it.
Perfect.
You know, I have to
plus.
keep. I have to remind myself because I'm like, man, there's people with two schools and one school. Well, first of all, thank you very, very much. I hope all of you have had a good year, a new year, and I hope your superintendent has treated you all very well. Go ahead and tell the people, yes, you have.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's talk about some things. We have some exciting things the new year, especially for our families and opportunities for our families. Obviously, this is a business we're trying to always recruit and get families into our school systems. We believe that we have excellent programs in our schools, and so we're always trying to promote and get folks into our system. So let's talk about both SLIP and STEM, and then we'll come back to Brad a little bit with Blue Ribbon and some of those other things. So let's talk about it a little bit. What opportunities do we have offered both at both STEM and SLIP? So let's start with you, Arthur.
Okay.
I would go with the eye candy first, but we'll start from my immediate left and go that way. Okay.
Well, at STEM, as Dr. West mentioned before, it's science, technology, engineering, and math. And STEM is really a just different approach to the core subjects. You'll still find language arts, math, science, social studies, but STEM is a way of thinking. And when you walk into a STEM classroom, you'll see a lot of collaborative group work with the students, and the teachers are there kind of as coaches coaching the students when they ask the questions. And so that's what you'll see a lot of at STEM.
Okay. What about SLIP? Now that's a whole lot different. So what
Yes,
is that all
it
about?
is. This is the second year for the Spanish language immersion program, and this year we have Spanish in kindergarten, first grade, and second grade.
Right.
And they run on a 90-10 model where 90% of the day is in Spanish, and the other 10% of the day is English. So in that 10%, it's the art, music, FIAD, lunch, some of those other areas that aren't located exactly directly into the classroom.
So, do you know Spanish, Marianne Texley?
Un poquito.
Oh, well, un poquito. Okay.
Heavy on the poquito part.
Yeah, very heavy on it, right? But people ask me all the time, especially, I just want to kind of digress a little bit. People ask me all the time, well, how do you evaluate teachers who speak Spanish and you don't know Spanish? And my answer to them is, you know good teaching when you see good teaching. And I assume that's how you do it as well. And when you're in those classrooms, you know good teaching when you see it, right?
I know just enough Spanish to pick up the gist of most of the conversation, but
right.
there's some conversation that you're able to figure it out.
You figure it
but
out.
you look at how the children are reacting to the teacher,
Right.
and the level of engagement and excitement, and knowing what to do and leaving like small group area and go to their desk and start working on the activities or working around the room. It's the same curriculum, but it's just in Spanish.
Absolutely.
So the knowledge of the curriculum and the pedagogy is the same. It's just in a different language.
There it is. And so you should know what that looks like. So Brad, here you are. You're not a SLIP. You're not a STEM person. So let's talk a little bit about the showcase and talk about how that came to form, because I think we've always had programming or space for, hey, we want to showcase our STEM, we want to showcase our SLIP. But let's talk about how this large showcase came into being.
You know, so the wonderful thing about Winona Area Public Schools is we have 5 outstanding elementary buildings, and the STEM program is a part of that, the SLIP program is a part of that, as is Rollingstone Community School, as is Goodview School, as is WK Elementary, and there's a non-SLIP portion of Madison Elementary too, so we've got a lot of different pieces there.
Yes.
But the great thing is that all of those programs, all of those schools, all can really provide a wonderful educational opportunity for our students, and that's the name of the game. So what we're really looking to do this year is to showcase all 5 of our buildings and to allow families to understand that, hey, there are several great options out there for you at Winona Area Public Schools. So the week of February 8th, we've kind of designated as a week of elementary showcase, where we're really going to kind of open our doors to the community and say, hey, we hope you'll come and check out some of the wonderful things that are happening in all of our buildings.
That's fantastic. So that's February 8th through
February
11th.
8th through the 11th.
Yep, and folks can see it up on the screen there. Let's go back to both STEM and SLIP, though, because there's some specific timelines for both of those as well. So Arthur, let's talk about STEM. Is there specific timelines that we need to talk to our families about there?
Yeah, if families are interested in applying to Jefferson Elementary STEM School, the application window is January 25th to February 12th.
Okay.
So families will have the option of applying online, or if they're not able to apply online, they can stop by either Jefferson for the STEM program or Madison for the SLIP program and pick up a paper application, or they can call Jefferson or Madison, and the secretaries will mail them a paper application which they can return.
So a kid who's already currently at STEM, does he or she have to apply?
No, they don't need to apply. They are automatically enrolled to the next grade level the following school year.
But if I have a little brother who's coming into kindergarten or a sister coming into kindergarten?
They do have to fill out the application.
They do, okay.
I know we have sibling preference, but they still need to fill out an application so that we know they're interested.
Okay. Marianne, how about you?
The timelines are the same.
Okay.
Most everything is the same. The only difference is where at STEM they're accepting applications K-4. We're just accepting applications at kindergarten because first and second and next year third, as everybody moves forward, will be full with the classes that have been proceeding. Coming in and out of a Spanish language immersion program isn't quite as transparent or as easily, readily available for the kids because of having to have that basic foundation to be able to go to the next grade.
That's right.
And so we have had some students transfer in from Texas. We've had some from Texas and some other places that we do a little assessment to see where they are at, and then they can come into the classroom, but they have had to have had prior Spanish immersion program experience or have it be their first language.
Right. And that's exciting. I mean, because we do give a what I'll call an on-ramp to folks who have been in Spanish immersion programs before. We still give them that opportunity at that specific grade level. So that's exciting. But it is very difficult if you think you're a second grader and think you're just going to come to SLIP. No, there's...
At 90% Spanish, it can be a little overwhelming.
Yeah. So, Brad, I want to come back to you because you talked about 5 elementaries, dynamic personas with all of them. One of the things I struggle with sometimes as superintendent of 5 different elementaries is the competition inherent in 5 different systems. The showcase isn't really about competing against one another, I assume. That's what I'm hoping.
No,
okay, so talk to me a little bit about that because there is some competition, but we're not there to compete against one another.
No, that's exactly right. And I think that's really the point is that all 5 of our buildings have wonderful opportunities. And I think from a parent's perspective, what a great opportunity to have those options available and to be able to find that right niche for your particular family, your student. So I think that's really it. I mean, to say that, look, these are all fantastic options. Each school has maybe something a little bit unique to offer, but all of them have the same kind of basic structures in place, the same basic core curriculum as Arthur had mentioned.
Yeah.
It's really just those little nuances, maybe a little bit different from one building to the next.
For a family to be able to choose and pick, right? We all understand that parents have the right to choose where they want to go, so we want the finest system. So let's go back to the showcase. Well, what am I to expect when I come to your buildings as a parent? What am I going to see at Arthur STEM building?
At Jefferson, you will be welcomed by various staff people. We're going to have classrooms in each grade level open. A chance for parents to go in and really see what a STEM classroom looks like. Chance to talk to some of the classroom teachers, specialist teachers, and just get a real good sense and feel of what a typical day in STEM would look like, or what a classroom looks like at STEM.
The big question, though, and I'll ask all three of you, is: are there going to be treats?
Of course.
All right, I gotta have some cookies. Yeah, we gotta have some cookies and punch. I'm not just going there for no reason. I mean, okay, so that's exciting. And again, what day is that for you?
At Jefferson, it's going to be Thursday, February 11th.
February 11th.
At 6:30.
Okay, Marianne, what about you?
My two schools are up on the 8th and the 9th, and Goodview is an open school, so it will have a little bit different vibe than the other elementaries because we have no walls for that separate our classrooms, and so you come in and you get like a full view. We're arranged in pods, so we'll have people in each of the pods. We'll have our PTA ladies there and gentlemen to, promote PTA, which is a very fine organization in all of our schools. We're one of the few school districts in Minnesota that have membership in all of our schools. So we're very proud of that, and we support our PTA as well as them.
They do put a lot of effort into it.
They put a lot of effort and energy into our schools too. So PTA ladies will be there. We'll have volunteers giving tours. We'll have cookies punch.
You already got me there. Okay, cookies punch is your place. Okay, all right. But I want to go real quickly to the open concept, because I don't think people really understand what that is. I really do. If you've never been a part of Goodview, it'd be interesting just to go and see it, because I think people go, well, there's no walls there. How do you teach there?
Well, one of the comments I get when I give tours for parents in the building when the kids are there is how quiet the building really is. And it is very quiet. Because you think, whoa, chaos, all this activity and stuff. But the students kind of get used to, how far their voice can go. And there are times when the noise gets a little bit louder. But if a particular class is going to have a really raucous kind of activity, then they go to the gym, or they go to the art room, or they go somewhere else. So they're always being very respectful. But it's just like this little hum in the building. You walk through and you can see everybody, and there's just this little hum going on. And
it's a real treat, and I don't think Goodview gets a lot of love sometimes, but I think if you really are interested in seeing a school in action, an open concept is amazing. So we're here at the end of our final segment. It's 12 minutes that already popped up on me. I normally would have each of you say some things, but we'll put up the graphs back up on the screen and talk about the showcase and whatnot. And I thank you so very much for coming forward with the showcase. How excited I am to be at the buildings. I'm looking forward to having families at all the buildings, and come in and take a look at our schools. We got some amazing things going on.
And one more thing I want to bring up. After the enrollment application window closes on the 12th, if needed, we will have a lottery the following Friday on February 19th. And the lottery is something that STEM and SLIP uses to fill up the classrooms if we have more applicants than seats.
And with that, that's all we'll do for this segment. I thank you so very much, and thanks for tuning in to Making It Great with me. Thanks again for all three of you being here. And Brad, thanks for the whole segment.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
It's a great day to be a win home.
Well, that was a good way to end it.